Give me 30 minutes, and I will show you the exact point where your life divided into what you are living and what you were meant to live. 30 minutes. That is all I ask. Not because my words hold magic, but because your mind has reached the place where it can no longer remain as it is. Most men never encounter such a moment. They drift through decades believing time is abundant, believing change will come later, believing the future will appear without a corresponding decision. But there comes a day, a rare day, when a man realizes that the next step he takes will either elevate him or condemn him to repetition. If you are hearing this, that day has arrived. Pause for a moment and ask yourself a simple question. What if these next 30 minutes become the border between the life you tolerate and the life you were designed to build? What if you are standing at the doorway of a transformation so profound that even your past cannot recognize you afterward? Do not dismiss the thought. Possibility often enters quietly, disguised as a whisper, disguised as a tug in the chest, disguised as the strange sense that something in your life is unfinished. You have felt it for years, haven't you? That subtle ache that reminds you were not born merely to survive your days, but to command them. Let me tell you why these 30 minutes matter. You have lived most of your life reacting to fear, reacting to bills, reacting to opinions, reacting to the circumstances that surrounded you. But inside you exists a force that has never been given a chance to speak. Not fear, not habit, but will. Will that has been buried beneath doubt, yet has never died. These 30 minutes are the first crack in that burial. Through that crack, your real power begins to rise. Think back to the last time you felt certain you were made for more. The feeling was there for only a moment, and then life swallowed it. You return to old routines, old beliefs, old limitations. But the feeling has returned today, and it will not leave you in peace until you act. You are not here by accident. You are here because something in your spirit demanded a turning point. You may not know how to change your life. You may not know where to start. You may feel surrounded by responsibilities, pressure, and fear. But none of that prevents transformation. The only requirement is that you decide. But here is the truth. Most men never hear. A decision is not a thought. It is not a wish. It is not a promise made in moments of emotion. A decision is a command issued to your future, a command that refuses retreat, a command that seals the door behind you so you cannot drift back into the man you were. For 30 minutes, I will ask you to step into that command. Before we go further, understand what is at stake. If you listen carelessly, nothing changes. You will return to your day unchanged, repeating the same patterns, shrinking beneath the same doubts, living beneath your capability. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10, you will wonder where the time went. You will wonder why nothing shifted. You will wonder what you might have become if you had listened differently. But if you listen with intent, if you listen as a man ready to reclaim his strength, these words will not merely inspire you. They will awaken the part of you that knows how to build a new life from the inside outward. Let me show you a scene. Picture yourself 1 year from today. You wake with calm certainty instead of dread. Your work produces results instead of exhaustion. Your home is filled with stability instead of silent pressure. Your income rises because you rise. Your days carry purpose. Your nights carry peace. Nothing around you has become easier, but you have become stronger, clearer, and more definite. That is the life that begins in these 30 minutes. You do not need luck to achieve it. You need obedience to the law that governs achievement. The law that states your results are the precise reflection of your mental definiteness. The law that transforms desire into power and power into action and action into fortune. But understand this also, the law does not respond to the man who drifts. It responds to the man who decides. So ask yourself, have you truly decided or have you merely hoped? Have you lived as a creator or as a reactor? Have you commanded your days or have you waited for them to improve on their own? These questions will follow you if you ignore them. They will echo at every moment of quiet. They will haunt you because they carry the truth you have long avoided. But if you face them now, within these minutes, you will cut the rope that ties you to your old self. There's something you have always known. Deep down, beyond fear and beyond noise, you know that you are capable of greatness far beyond what you have allowed yourself to pursue. You have glimpsed this truth in flashes, in moments of clarity, in sudden bursts of courage. But flashes fade, courage retreats, and the world returns with its demands. Not today. These 30 minutes are a shield against every voice that ever told you to stay small. They are a weapon against every doubt that ever convinced you to wait. They are the declaration that your future is not determined by your past, but by your next act of decision. But here is the part you must understand most clearly. You cannot drift through these minutes. Drift is the enemy. Drift is the thief. Drift is the quiet decay of ambition disguised as comfort. If you give me these minutes fully, your attention, your belief, your willingness, you will walk away changed. You will walk away with a mind that no longer negotiates with weakness. You will walk away with a spirit that no longer yields to fear. You will walk away with a clarity that makes indecision impossible. And once a man becomes impossible to indecision, he becomes impossible to defeat. So hold these minutes as sacred. Do not wander, do not drift, do not dilute them with doubt, for in these 30 minutes you will learn how a single decision held with unwavering definiteness can uproot an entire lifetime of limitation. Now listen closely. Your future is watching how you receive the next words. Your destiny will obey what you decide today. Let these be the minutes that divide who you were from, who you will become. Every life divides at a single unseen moment, the instant when thought ceases to be a wish and becomes a command. Until that hour, a man floats between two tides, the current of desire that pulls him forward and the current of fear that drags him back. But once decision is made, the currents obey him. Decision is the lever by which ordinary men lift their destiny from drift into design. Most never cross that invisible line. They whisper of what they want, yet never order it into being. They delay, hoping conditions will improve, seeking permission from time, from others, from luck. Life listens to such hesitation in silence, for it responds only to command. The moment a man speaks with definiteness, "I will," the universe stirs as if struck by a bell. Decision is the rarest form of power because it requires no resources other than will. The timid accumulate information and still remain uncertain. The strong decide and learn as they advance. When a man decides, he becomes whole. When he hesitates, he divides himself against himself. The undecided mind leaks energy as a broken pipe leaks water. No progress can come until it is sealed by definiteness. True decision leaves no back door. It is a covenant with one's own destiny. The weak speak of preference. The strong declare law. Every decision is a seed cast into eternity. Its roots reach into unseen soil the moment it is planted. What follows action, resistance, failure, victory is only the unfolding of that seed's command. Hesitation is the tax the fearful pay for their doubt. It splits the mind in two and robs it of magnetic power. The decisive man unites thought and will so completely that every word and movement ring with authority. His environment senses it. Events rearrange themselves to serve the clear and punish the confused. The invisible world recognizes command as nature recognizes sunlight. There was once a man who stepped from a freight train with the dirt of travel upon him. His clothes were worn, his pockets empty, but his purpose burned like fire. He had come not to ask for work, but to declare partnership with the greatest inventor of his age. People laughed at the notion. Yet he introduced himself to the gatekeeper of opportunity as a man destined to work with Edison, not for him. That declaration was the hinge upon which his fortune turned. For 5 years he labored in humble position, but his aim never changed. One day, chance opened the door to demonstrate his worth. Edison recognized in him the reflection of his own definiteness, and the poor stranger became his associate. That man was Edwin C. Barnes. Decision, not circumstance, marked his beginning. Decision is not mere mental act. It is spiritual law. It is man's imitation of creation itself. The Creator said, "Let there be," and the universe responded. Each man being made in that image holds the same power in miniature. When he decrees without retreat, infinite intelligence rushes to his aid. But when he commands today and doubts tomorrow, creation halts midway, awaiting clear instruction. Doubt divides command. Life waits for the consistent voice. A single order shouted in faith will carry further than 1,000 whispered with uncertainty. Decision fixes vibration, and vibration summons form. The man who knows this truth speaks to the unseen with authority and finds that circumstances, people, and opportunities arrange themselves like obedient soldiers around his will. The drifter perishes in possibility. He says, "I will decide when I know more," not realizing that knowing comes from deciding. Knowledge follows choice as sunrise follows dawn. Those who delay until all is clear remain in twilight forever. The man of purpose says, "I will know because I have chosen," and light appears upon his path. The law of life is obedience to definiteness. It punishes hesitation with obscurity. The tale of the miners proves it. They dug for gold until doubt overtook them. They stopped 3 feet from the richest vein their region would ever yield. Another, guided by decision, picked up where they quit and became wealthy. The earth itself honors perseverance and condemns retreat. Decision demands immediate motion. Thought without movement decays into wishful dreaming. The great men acted while others argued. They did not wait to understand every detail, they learned through motion. Dr. Frank Gonzalez, a poor preacher, decided to obtain $1 million for a college devoted to practical education. He had no plan, only decision. He announced his intention publicly. Within a week, a donor supplied the sum. Life is not persuaded by caution. It is commanded by certainty. Once decision is made, act at once, even if the first step seems small. Each motion strengthens conviction, and conviction multiplies opportunity. The path unfolds for the walker, never for the waiter. Action clarifies what hesitation obscures. When a man truly decides, even his countenance changes. His eyes focus, his tone gains weight, his movements acquire purpose. Others feel it long before he speaks of it. Employers promote such men. Companions seek their counsel. Even opponents respect their resolve. Decision possesses a fragrance that cannot be imitated. It is recognized by all who breathe it. The world rearranges itself around leadership. Leadership is nothing more than decision expressed with consistency. The masses wait for guidance because they fear responsibility. The moment someone accepts responsibility, he inherits their confidence. Certainty is a rare commodity, and those who carry it command its price. Every definite act refines his character. Each decision builds upon the last until the habit of determination becomes nature. Then choice no longer tortures. It flows as easily as breathing. The man who trains himself to decide quickly and correctly gains time as others lose it in indecision. The future belongs to those who move first. Decision also disciplines fear. The mind cannot hold both resolve and terror at once. When decision enters, fear departs or else transforms into alertness. Many confuse caution with wisdom, but excessive caution is merely fear disguised as prudence. The decisive man uses fear as servant. It warns him, but never commands him. No force in the world resists the man who knows his aim. Even failure bends to his will. Temporary defeat becomes the tool by which his wisdom grows. He reads setbacks not as denial but as correction. Decision endows every event with purpose, transforming obstacles into instruction. The power of decision is multiplied through written word. Write the definite chief aim upon paper. Sign it as covenant to oneself, not as hope. The act of writing converts thought into physical vibration. Read it daily with conviction until the words glow with emotion. The subconscious mind, thus commanded, begins to shape circumstance toward fulfillment. Affirm now, I decide once and I do not retreat. My word is law to my own soul. My decisions shape the world around me. Such affirmation plants the habit of finality. Every repetition strengthens identity as one who commands reality rather than petitions it. Consider how every empire began. One mind spoke with such clarity that others could not help but obey. One decision held long enough gathered followers, resources, and vision until nations moved. Greatness begins the same in every age. One solitary decision spoken without apology. Even fear becomes servant to decision. It sharpens senses, heightens awareness, and fuels preparation. The undecided man flees from fear. The decided man harnesses it. In him, every emotion turns worker. Doubt becomes analysis. Worry becomes watchfulness. Hesitation becomes timing. All obey the single captain, decision. The command to act does not depend on size of dream. Whether one resolves to master his trade or to build an empire, the law remains. Decide wholly. Act immediately. Persist relentlessly. Nature respects the same process in seed and star alike. Decision is not the act of intellect, but of identity. It is less about what a man will do than who he has declared himself to be. When he knows who he is, action becomes inevitable. Identity determines behavior, and behavior determines destiny. The man who decides he is leader will lead even in darkness. From this moment, let every listener grasp that life does not answer the uncertain. The world belongs to those who speak with conviction, act without retreat, and persist until the unseen becomes visible. Decision is the turning point of all power. Once it is made, destiny obeys. Decision is the spark. Will is the fire that sustains it. Every beginning, however noble, will perish without the discipline to continue. Desire awakens the dreamer. Persistence crowns the door. The greatest mistake of mankind is to believe that deciding once is enough. Decision must be fed daily by obedience to one's own word until completion becomes instinct. Most men begin with flame and end with smoke. They speak boldly when emotion runs high, yet abandon their resolution when routine returns. Will is measured not by how a man starts, but by how he stays. The furnace of persistence transforms soft intention into unbreakable steel. Without that fire, the finest plans cool into ash. Will is not emotion. Emotion flares and fades like sparks in a gust. Will endures like the sun. Emotion is the servant of circumstance. Will is the ruler of it. Those who rely on inspiration fail when moods shift. The man of will acts from principle, not from comfort. His strength grows precisely in the hours when he least feels it. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. The mind becomes iron only by resisting ease. The athlete strengthens muscle through tension. The thinker sharpens power through discipline. Will grows by saying yes to purpose and no to excuse. Every act of obedience to purpose, however small, builds invisible fiber of strength. In a dim factory many years ago, a man conceived the dream of building a motor car that the average man could afford. His name was Henry Ford. His engineers told him that the engine he desired, the V8, was impossible. Every law of mechanics denied it, yet he said, build it anyway. Months passed. Nothing worked. Engineers returned again with failure, and he repeated the decree. Build it anyway. Eventually, the impossible engine roared to life. His secret was not mechanical genius. It was the persistence of faith. Ford understood that every obstacle tests not skill but endurance. The universe asks one question of all who aspire. Will you remain when the easy road ends? Most retreat at that crossroad. Few endure long enough for law to yield. But those few become masters whom history remembers. The law of controlled attention is the next secret of will. Whatever dominates the mind expands. The man of purpose directs his thought deliberately toward the goal instead of the obstacle. Problems grow larger only when we feed them our focus. Direct attention to purpose and difficulties shrink to their proper size. Think of thought as sunlight and attention as a magnifying glass. The glass gathers scattered rays and directs them to a single point until fire appears. So it is with faith concentrated upon one aim. It burns through resistance. Scattered thought warms nothing. Focused thought transforms stone to flame. The world calls repetition dull. The wise call it creation in progress. Every master craftsman learned his art through endless repetition. Every act done daily in harmony with purpose deepens habit until effort becomes nature. Repetition is the mother of permanence. It engraves certainty upon the subconscious until right action happens without struggle. The law of cosmic habit force governs this truth. Nature rewards consistency. Every repeated act, whether noble or trivial, builds grooves within mind and body that direct future conduct. The man who repeats fear creates weakness. The man who repeats courage creates power. The law does not choose sides. It merely amplifies whatever habit it is fed. Once a young clerk worked in a small store unnoticed. Each evening after others left, he remained improving systems, organizing shelves, calculating better methods. He received no praise, no payment, yet acted as if he owned the place. Within months, profits increased. The owner, seeing this unseen devotion, made him a partner. Success came not as reward, but as recognition of what he had already become. Such men act from inner certainty, not from external approval. They work as though success already belongs to them. The world eventually agrees. This is faith in action, the habit of acting as though the goal were already secured. Life rushes to meet the man who moves in confidence. Faith is energy. It is not belief without proof. It is belief that creates proof. The subconscious mind, once convinced, moves every faculty of the body to achieve what faith declares. The salesman who begins each day expecting rejection will find rejection. The one who begins expecting favor will radiate it. Attitude precedes evidence. I once knew a salesman who transformed his fortune through this principle. For years he dreaded clients expecting refusal before he knocked on the door. One day he resolved to reverse the image. He pictured every client as friendly, receptive, and grateful. Within a year, his income doubled. His skill had not changed. His inner vibration had. Faith had rewritten his results. Affliction is the teacher of the will. Hardship refines his strength as fire refines his gold. Each difficulty carries instruction. Men of shallow purpose curse adversity. Men of depth thank it. It reveals whether desire is genuine or merely decorative. Every blow, when met with faith, forges a new link in the chain of mastery. Consider Abraham Lincoln. Before leadership, he endured years of defeat, ridicule, and loss. His heart was tempered by sorrow until it could hold the weight of a nation. Without those trials, his greatness could not have ripened. The furnace that burns away weakness leaves character in its purest form. Persistence breeds reputation. People trust the man who finishes. Even silent observers sense discipline and are drawn to reliability. The undependable may possess talent, but the dependable commands trust, and trust is currency more valuable than genius. In time, opportunities travel toward reliability as water seeks gravity. When discipline becomes habit, life itself grows lighter. Duty no longer feels like burden. It becomes privilege. Each completed act strengthens faith in one's own reliability. The man who keeps his word to himself no longer doubts his power. The man who breaks it breeds self-contempt that poisons every effort. Affirm daily. My will is steady, my faith unbroken. Each day I act in harmony with my purpose until completion becomes my nature. Speak it until action and belief fuse into one rhythm. This affirmation aligns thought and motion as hammer and anvil-shaped iron. Invisible accumulation is one of the most merciful laws of success. Effort unseen is never wasted. Results gather quietly behind the curtain of time until the hour of harvest. The farmer does not curse the field between seed and sprout. He trusts the process, watering with patience. The man of persistence must do likewise. Every hour of unseen labor adds weight to the coming breakthrough. Faith grows strongest when no applause is heard. The world remains silent while destiny is being carved. Then suddenly, after months or years of faithful work, the result bursts forth and onlookers call it luck. But the wise know that fortune is merely persistence matured. Discipline is not punishment. It is proof of sincerity. The man who obeys his own command discovers freedom from doubt, for doubt thrives on inaction. Once the body moves, uncertainty dissolves. Self-discipline is self-respect in motion. Each act of control declares, I am master of myself. The undisciplined live at the mercy of moods. One day they are inspired, the next they are idle. They hope for conditions to inspire them, unaware that action itself is the condition. Those who act regardless of feeling learn that emotion follows motion, not the reverse. Begin and inspiration returns. The mind must be trained like an instrument. Set hours for labor, reflection, and rest. Keep promises to time as strictly as to men. Each appointment kept with oneself strengthens integrity. Each appointment missed weakens confidence. The self respects order and rewards it with peace. Observe how leaders conduct their days. They guard the morning for purpose and the evening for planning. They schedule thought as others schedule entertainment. Their will is visible even in their calendar. Such order becomes a magnet for opportunity, for life favors the organized mind. The path of persistence is lonely at first, while others rest. The man of will continues. He studies, works, plans while the crowd seeks distraction. Yet in the long years ahead, those same men will look to him for guidance. Sacrifice today becomes authority tomorrow. Will and faith are twin pillars of creation. Will keeps motion steady. Faith keeps vision clear. Without faith, will becomes labor without joy. Without will, faith becomes daydream without result. Together, they form the rhythm of progress. Belief directs, effort delivers. Great men have always joined these two. Edison's faith in unseen law gave purpose to countless failures. Carnegie's will turned vision into empire. Lincoln's discipline fused endurance with mercy. Their secret was not luck but law, faith in cause, will in execution. The listener must understand that success does not depend on brilliance but on obedience to principle. The world rewards consistency more than genius. Talent without persistence is spark without fuel. Persistence without talent is flame that consumes mountains. Each act of endurance builds momentum for the next. The man who conquers small habits prepares for larger victories. Rise at the same hour. Complete the task before pleasure. Finish what is begun. These are the unseen rituals of the powerful. From such small fidelity grows unshakable strength. Do not despise small beginnings. The seed that cracks the soil today will one day shade thousands. The first disciplined act may appear trivial, yet it declares independence from drift. Persist long enough, and the smallest routine becomes symbol of dominion. The will is the bridge between thought and reality. Without it, even divine ideas remain ghosts. Each command executed strengthens the bridge until mind and matter communicate freely. Then results seem effortless, for the channels are clear. No man can borrow another's will. It must be forged in solitude. Friends may encourage, teachers may guide, but obedience must come from within. The world will test resolve through delay, doubt, and ridicule. The only defense is steadfast movement in spite of all three. The man who keeps faith amid adversity becomes rare metal among clay. Others break. He bends. He learns that endurance is not passive suffering, but active mastery. Each trial survived becomes proof that nothing external can dictate the internal. Let the listener engrave this law upon memory. Power grows through continuity of effort. Every day of faith adds weight to the cause. Time itself becomes ally when the will remains unbroken. What began as struggle becomes second nature, and second nature becomes destiny. When fatigue whispers, remember why the journey began. Remind the mind of its command. Repetition of purpose rekindles fire. The body may tire, but purpose does not. The man who ties his will to eternal principles cannot fail, for eternal principles cannot die. Persist until even doubt becomes servant. Persist until action requires no permission. Persist until completion becomes joy. When the will and faith fuse, they form a power that bends circumstance to character. Such mastery is the furnace where greatness is forged. This law is the second step in the turning point. Decision gave birth. Discipline grants endurance. Without it, the spark of decision dies in the wind. With it, that spark becomes flame that cannot be extinguished. From this furnace emerges the man whom neither time nor failure can defeat. The final stage of power is not in thinking or trying, but in being. When belief has been practiced long enough, when discipline has burned away hesitation, what remains is character, identity fulfilled. This is the law of visible transformation. The unseen faith that has worked in silence now clothes itself in flesh and form. At first, change demands effort. The mind must be forced into new channels, the body urged into new habits. Then comes rhythm when repetition becomes grace. Finally, the transformation feels effortless as though it had always been so. Growth passes from struggle to flow, from imitation to embodiment. The man who once strove to believe now simply is. The mind builds the pattern. The world provides the material. The invisible always precedes the visible. A man may labor endlessly to improve outer conditions, yet unless his inner structure changes, old results return. Outer fortune merely echoes the shape of thought. To alter form permanently, rebuild the inner architecture first. No illustration reveals this more clearly than the child who learned to hear. Born without normal hearing, his destiny seems sealed in silence. Yet through faith and autosuggestion, he trained his mind to hear through new channels. His father refused to accept limitation and taught him to repeat daily, "It can be done." In time, through invention and faith, the boy heard music and speech. His name was Blair Hill. He conquered nature through identity assumed long before evidence appeared. Identity governs all transformation. A man cannot live above the image he holds of himself. The laborer who sees himself as servant remains servant though fortune knocks at his door. The same man convinced he was born to lead begins to act differently, think differently, speak differently, and the world begins to agree. Thought held steadily enough becomes identity, and identity reshapes destiny. The secret of mastery lies not in striving toward achievement, but in acting from fulfillment. The young inventor who dreamed of transmitting speech across wires did not hope. It was certainty to him. He worked as though the world already spoke from one city to another. The world laughed, but laughter does not halt law. His name became Alexander Graham Bell, and the world echoed his conviction. Others respond to who you believe you are. Confidence is silent language. When you see yourself as capable, others mirror that belief. When you doubt, they withdraw. Assurance commands respect without request. Therefore, build within the calm conviction of worth, and your environment will rearrange itself to affirm it. Gratitude is the final proof of faith. To thank life for blessings unseen is to claim them as already possessed. Gratitude is not courtesy. It is creation completed. The man who gives thanks before evidence demonstrates mastery of unseen law. His peace is the surest sign that belief has become being. Transformation alters the very atmosphere around a man. People feel it before they understand it. Rooms grow calmer in his presence. Speech becomes purposeful. Confusion yields to order. He no longer chases opportunity. He attracts it. Prosperity, friendship, and respect circle him naturally, drawn by the harmony of his mind. Repetition remains sacred even in mastery. Autosuggestion is not dullness, but rehearsal of identity. Continue to affirm, I am the cause, not the consequence. I carry certainty. I radiate peace. I attract opportunity because I am prepared for it. Each repetition deepens conviction until it becomes unconscious habit. Consider again Andrew Carnegie, who began as a poor messenger yet acted for years as though he already commanded an empire. His voice, his dress, his imagination, all declared success before it existed because he lived as master. Masters came to him. Leadership is recognized by vibration before title. At first, friends may find the transformed man distant or changed. They sense new certainty and misread it as pride. In time, they understand and seek his counsel, drawn to stability they cannot explain. Success, when internalized, needs no proclamation. It speaks through serenity. Growth never ends. Once transformation occurs, new ideals appear on the horizon. Life continually expands for the man who has learned this process, for he knows he can become whatever he can clearly imagine. Each higher stage of self carries larger responsibility, but also greater calm. Now picture yourself 1 year from today, standing where you once dreamed to stand. Calm replaces worry. Clarity replaces confusion. Work flows with purpose, and others trust your direction. You recognize in that vision, not fantasy but preview. The man you see already exists within. These final minutes are his unveiling. Affirm completion. I have become the proof of my belief. My thought is form. My purpose is law. My life is evidence of what faith can create. Speak this not as hope but as statement of fact. Each word seals identity into permanence. Guard this state carefully. A single hour of doubt can undo weeks of faith. Continue the disciplines that built it. Morning reflection, gratitude, definite planning, repetition of purpose. Greatness once attained must be maintained through vigilance. As the final truth settles in, realize what these 30 minutes have delivered within them. You have issued command, tempered will, and assumed new identity. The decision you made became law. The persistence you showed became power, and the image you accepted became being. Nothing outside can now dictate what you shall become. The world will soon recognize outwardly what has already changed inwardly. You will walk through the same streets, yet not as the same man. Every step will carry the quiet certainty of one who knows his cause is just and his victory inevitable. The world belongs to those who decide who they are and then refuse contradiction. These minutes have shown you that power rests not in conditions but in conviction. Life henceforth is proof of that conviction. Let thought, speech, and action bear one message. I am the author of my life, and nothing is beyond my reach.